Welcome to another episode of the Huron Valley Now podcast, where we tell inspiring stories of business, life, and giving back. Today, I'm here with a special guest from the Highland Activities Center, Heidi Bey. Heidi, would you like to introduce yourself and maybe tell people a little bit about your story? How did you come to start working at the Highland Activities Center?
Well, John, that's rather funny because I was working doing water safety training and flower beds in my early 40s after some life issues led me to kind of tap away from traditional employment. And as I would try to find my mother, at that time she was in her mid 80s, she was always at the Highland Activity Center. So I knew where to find Mom at. And it was our joke that she ran the streets like a misbehaving stepchild, but I always knew she'd be at the activity center for her morning coffee and visits with her friends. So I would go there and visit with the folks and hang out when it was rainy or it was, off for a bit. And it was just, I happened to fall into the position. The director at that current time had walked up and said, "I have an opening. Would you like to discuss a position?" And I thought, okay, I'm in my 40s. I should probably have a big people job. So we discussed it, and at that time, I took a position as the activities person for the activity center. And soon thereafter, she left employment with Township, and I basically worked my way into an interim director's position. Then I became the official director in 2013. So I have been hanging out at the senior center for approximately 20-something years already. This will be going into my 14th year here, combined positions. And that's basically where my story begins, at the activity center. Knew a lot of the folks. We socialized with them outside of the center, of course, traveled with them, helped with their garage sales, moving, in-home care. As I said, I was doing landscaping, flower beds, and different things, so I would help the folks out. And I had an established rapport with the people, even though I was quite young at that point to take the position as a senior center director officially. It worked, and here I am all this time later.
Yeah, and you've really grown into a staple in the community. And as you said, you kind of just happened into it.
Yes.
At least at the activities center there. What are some jobs that you worked before?
My background, I have extensive in-home care medical training. I was in the nursing program at Oakland Community College. Into the second portion of the program, I had a car accident that basically delayed my continuing the program. So as I was quite close to becoming a nurse, I ended up in this position. In my past, I've worked with special needs. As I said, did the in-home care, worked with children doing the water safety training, marketing for the canoe rental that I was working for at that time, Heavener Canoe Rental, a local establishment. And it was just wonderful. I did enjoy even doing the flower beds and landscaping, and just being out in nature and the animals and being able to get some exercise and get paid for it was really a draw. So that is kind of my history. I have one daughter, Olivia. She is 25. She lives in Florida, so I travel periodically to and from, and she comes up here periodically. But otherwise, that's about my story. Brother, sister, that's me. I'm a local girl and live in Highland, and that's about the gist of it. Beautiful boyfriend, Mark, and a kitty named Henry, which makes no sense because she's a girl. But anyway, that's the way she came when I rescued her.
A boy named Sue.
Yeah, yes.
And you've been a big part of this community for a long time. You've done a lot in town. You've even helped the schools, helped educate some some people in like the business world, right?
Well, I was business, Highland White Lake Business Association liaison. Oh Lord, that was back in 2015-ish. Long story short, I just worked with them for recruitment to help boost their membership. I have worked with the festival committee for several years. I've retired myself at this point, so this is my first year to not be knee deep in festivals for our community. I've worked with Milford with their community program development and their picnics and different entities, DNR, other communities developing their festivals. So it's one of those things that marketing and these community events is another thing that just kind of occurred along the way that I wasn't planning on, didn't know I had the knowledge to do so, but it worked.
And you picked up all these interesting connections through that journey. How has that helped you with facilitating events at the Highland Activity Center?
It's been wonderful. It really has been. One of the things, like you mentioned about the school, when it kind of worked out well as I was doing the recruitment with the business association, I had spoken with several folks with Comcast in the school. They have a Comcast TV recording studio for the journalism students there. Mm-hmm. So my idea I proposed was, rather than them continuing to interview each other, taping all the sporting events, all wonderful things, but let's get a little more real life experience. So they developed Back to Business program where they interviewed local business entities and did some filming on location for that, and that was on Comcast. So that was something that we were able to add to the draw for the business association. After I was no longer with the business association, just because I moved to the full-time position of director at the center, I created Who's Who in the Valley. And that focused on the nonprofit entities in the area, the Huron Valley Special Olympics, the War Dog Memorial Cemetery in Lyon Township. Just those are just entities that I felt needed the opportunity to kind of wave their flag a little better, bigger. And the school district did, and we had a community garden at the center. We have a coin club at the center. They all did their little snippets and were able to advertise themselves a bit better that way, I felt. And it was a wonderful experience. The kids, I feel, benefited. They had a blast with it. They had to develop all the questions and do all the filming. So it was real life for them in their journalism or film industry quests. But the connections that I've made throughout the community, and it's just, I'm overwhelmed. I can't even put it in words with the wonderful people I work with at Township, the folks I've met through the businesses in the area, and experiences with all of them. And it's been a lot of fun and a great learning experience for me as well, to grow as a person, to get out there and be able to stay connected with people in the community and have some knowledge of what's going on around the area and different entities, the community, the Downtown Development Authority with the farmers market and those types of things that have had their peaks and valleys, but right now it's just thriving well. And I'm really happy to have been able to say that I was a part of it or am a part of it. And that's about it. Probably babbling, but
no, and as you mentioned, our town really is thriving right now.
yes.
And part of your job is setting up activities and events for people to participate in, for people to enjoy, that are accessible. What are some of like the workshops or the field trips that you've been a part of facilitating that?
Well, the Activity Center, basically we have created with Our day programs are a diverse population. For grant writing purposes, our legal grant writing age is 55 and above. We do service community, those with special needs that they require help, and I will do what I can do to accommodate anyone in our community, just because we are one of the entities of the community that has resources, connections to, or I have a ton of information, veterans, housing. We have our Meals on Wheels program. We work with Oakland, Livingston County, the library, even Highland Township Library. We do a books in a bag program for those that are homebound. They're delivered from our center to the folks that are homebound so that they have reading and audiovisual opportunities to stay active and keep the brains functioning in as much as we possibly can at this point. Coming out of COVID, it was a strange world when we were during it. We continued to do our medical equipment services. We had our Meals on Wheels programs were still going. Books in a Bag were still delivered through the library. And we all had volunteer purpose, or the aspect of we were still employed, so we had to validate our hours. So we did a lot of community service work with bread donations and sweets donations, and that we would be able to keep coolers and tables out underneath our awnings and overhang in our entryway so that folks could come up and still get some food supplies. We did run some like a food pantry program with the Meals on Wheels program, where folks could come and get Staples boxes that would help tide them over month to month. The books, puzzles, videotapes, CDs, those types of things we had out for folks. We would take donations, we picked them up, and we delivered our medical equipment, helped folks get it set up. And those were all things during the pandemic that kept us really busy. And we even had collected yarn, because we have textile workers, and we have our yarn, our knitters and sewing ladies and crochet ladies and card players. So we would try to keep everything as accessible so they could have that opportunity to go out and just drive by, grab some stuff and keep going, and not be exposed or endangered. At that point, we all were wondering, what do we do or not do? So was our resource that we came up with, so we could still service the community and prove our worth, I guess you would say, because we were still getting paid. So we got creative along the way.
I love that you found a way to be a resource.
Yes.
At all times.
Yes. And we've always tried to do that. I have phone numbers. I have 2,500 phone numbers in my phone, and so if you need to contact somebody, I probably can either find it in my phone, or I have a list in my computer somewhere for different entities, people with housing and moving and assistance in home care, hospice care. We have, as I mentioned, the medical equipment storage that we service the community with, that we take in equipment that is clean and proper working order, and then we will store it, and then it goes out again to those that need on a free loan basis. And that was one of the things that it was kind of a oddity that I started just as the pandemic hit, and hospital beds. It was very odd that we'd have weeks to where we were either picking up or dropping off 3, 6 hospital beds. So we became very proficient in how to pick things up, take them down, assemble, disassemble, move on. And it really became a good opportunity for the physical therapy people in the area to know that they could find that walker or cane or wound care briefs, all those things that were like either really hard to get from a store or the medical supply places weren't as prevalent at that time. Some were closed and they just went south or wherever. And it just became a very busy part of our existence.
That's really a unique initiative. It's cool to see how you adapt to the circumstances.
Yeah, we did. It was fun though. I mean, not fun with the pandemic, but fun kind of recreating ourselves during that time. And we really, doing calling people and checking on them and just updating and cleaning the house, so to speak, as everybody was trying to figure out what to do with themselves. We're like, oh, what a great time to reorganize all the closets and painting and updating and move furniture around and rearrange, and did a little bit of, cosmetic things around the center as we could. And yes, we were shut down for a short period, and then as things opened up with the restricted amount of folks that you could have in your capacity limits, we kept bringing back smaller programs and just kept building it back up. And then we went under construction, so we were relocated for over a year. So that was another process to go through to adjust and overcome.
But now you've got a beautiful new building.
Yes.
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 And you host awesome classes there.
Yes,
and you've got
we
all
do.
these connections. How does that pair together?
Well, we work with a lot of the different agencies and entities in the community. They will sponsor even the simple things like sponsoring food programs for our parties that we throw. It's just kind of I make a joke about the fact that any cheap excuse we can and we will have a party for. We do birthdays every month, but we try to, celebrate most of the holidays, not your evening ones as much. I don't try to throw a New Year's Eve party because I haven't seen the ball fall in, decades myself. So I'm sorry, I'm just not that girl that I'm going to throw a party for my folks and do an overnight New Year's Eve party or something to that effect. But every major holiday, we really try to celebrate and give folks the option and the opportunity to come out at cost-effective rates. We have entertainment, good food. So the agencies and entities in the community will help us with those tasks because we all know everything's gone up so much. We do charge a ticket fee for our people, but we're decorating, we're supplying all the food. Our end of the summer program picnic that we have in September, we have a quartet coming. And those are the types of things that I really enjoy trying to find the sponsorship for. When I call somebody up and say, well, I need some help, I have to have some sponsorship, and if you could help us out with some money, I'm looking for a bagpipe player for St. Patrick's Day. And they're like, really? It just is, so it keeps folks exposed to diversity, different music styles, food, quartet. We've had marimba, a gentleman that played a marimba. Marimba is not, people think a dance. No, it's like a xylophone, but it is a wood product that plays beautiful music. Again, people are like, what's a marimba? And I'm like, well, we'll find out when this man comes and plays for us. And he was a fantastic person. He was a teacher from Warren School District, and he told a fantastic story and was very interactive. And it just is really a pleasure to have the opportunity to offer agencies in the area to come and give their spiel, summaries of their services to the folks. That way I'm educating people. They can't say they don't know because I try very hard. I did political question and answer sessions, meet and greets with the political entities since 2012. As I came on board, it was just really a situation where there was a huge turnover in the school district and township and such. So we had several meet and greet moments where you come and see this person, ask her questions face to face, use your voice, speak your piece, because there's nothing worse than not being educated and then you're clicking a switch or marking that dot and you're in hope of, I don't know this person or who they are or what they stand for, but I'm going to vote my R or D, and you have no clue what this person's about. So education, opportunity, those are the things I've focused on as much as possible, and keeping the programs unique. We have had belly dancing exercise classes. Currently, we have a hula hoop exercise class. We have a senior fit program that has run for now almost 7 years. Monday, Wednesday, Friday exercise. We have classes on chiropractic services, or in October we will run our health and wellness fair, and that is a huge opportunity for different agencies to come and let the people know what services they offer, where they're located, make that bond, establish rapport with the seniors, or with others in the community. It's not a restricted program. It is open to the public. So we'll have a variety pack of things going on with chair massage and enrichment course. I believe a gentleman in his chiropractic clinic called Dr. John will be with us. And so we have, a beautician coming in to do simple things that, fun things, chalk color in the hair. But then there'll be peripheral eye exams from a local establishment. I will have several in-home care agencies, housing complexes, other resource services will be there and present too, so folks can learn about them. Community sharing or food pantry that's local. The Meals on Wheels people will be there representing. We have a program that's called RSVP, Retired Volunteer Service Persons, and that gives the folks that want something to do but they're not sure what, well, they're going to be there to say, okay, these are the bazillion things that we are involved in, so pick one and come help. And they do have a stipend service that they do compensate a little bit for meals or gas and those types of things, like our Meals on Wheels drivers. We try to coordinate them with the RSVP, so at this time in life when gas is not cheap, we're trying to create a volunteer base for drivers to deliver the food to the in-home bound or the books and a bags program. We have to have something to give them in return, right? RSVP and those volunteers work real nice together. We hook them up. Then the drivers, if they choose to participate, will get a small stipend back for their gas monies. They do have bills to pay too. So if we want them to be dedicated volunteers, we have to give them some type of compensation, and of course the accolades that people deserve. It's not easy to just drop everything in your life or schedule one more thing in to volunteer, for the community or church or whatever focus people have or their passions.
Yeah, I think it's so cool watching you piece all this together. And I don't want to skip over the political initiative that you did. That's another example of you seeing a need and just getting to work. You keep doing that, and that's fun to see. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I watched things progress as time went by. My spiel about senior centers as they were created back, their foundation is that people as they retire, folks were sedentary in part in rural communities as ours. You don't have your neighbor right next door to walk out and wave at as you get your mail. They're a quarter mile down the road. So the senior centers, even in communities that are well populated, folks don't know their neighbors or they're friends, they've moved away, they're gone with the kids, so forth. I watched the transition of senior centers being a place to come and find that camaraderie with your peers and like-minded individuals of your age bracket, to, oh, here comes urban sprawl. The families are separated. The grandkids are far away. The folks weren't really in connection with their direct family members. You know, I'd hear them squawking about, I haven't seen my grandkids in, I don't really know their birthdays, those types of things, that they were disconnected. So then it almost felt like the centers were starting becoming a place for commiserating. And I thought, ooh, this can't happen, because again, I was there frequently. My mother was there daily, just about. I mean, we're open Monday through Friday, but we have evening programs, weekend programs that are also worked pretty much 24/7. I have a church that holds service at the center. You're in your seminars and programs that you run at the center on off hours. We have a coin club that meets in the evening, quilters, group that trains dogs in our facility on certain days of the week. So you never know what's going on at the center. So if you see cars there, you might just want to stop by and say hi, or just peek in and see. If it's not a private party, you're more than welcome to come in. But so as I noticed the commiserating piece to it coming to light, I thought that we got to pick the pace up here and give them home, give them some place to find that connection and that stability and the security of others, and that friendship, love that they were missing, and their families not being close or nearby or in good connection, communication with folks. So we have computer programs and things trying to help folks learn how to Facebook and FaceTime, and things that will help them communicate with their families that are far away and get in touch with their grandkids on social media. Zoom, that was one of those things I don't think anybody seen coming with the pandemic, and Zoom became such a huge thing so fast that we didn't even know we needed to do that. Zoom wasn't anything until the pandemic. But then we had situations to where we could instruct folks, even remotely, how to download the app, how to work on their smart TVs, those types of things, and coordinate. I had one gal that said, this was the best birthday party I've had in my life. She goes, I'm 73 years old. She goes, I had more of my family with me for my birthday. They had set up her entire big screen TV, had family from around the whole United States at her birthday party on the Zoom party. And it just things like that I wanted to try to redirect that, commiserating to celebrating, because life is so short and so precious that I don't want people to be miserable if I can help it. And we just had to figure out how to busy up the diverse population we have. Right now we've got folks from that 50 age bracket to 101. So how do you keep them all entertained? We have day trips and some of the things I've already mentioned of the inside programs, the opportunities to all the books, puzzles, DVDs that are in-house on our shelves are a public pickings thing, I call it, or the penny system. We have all these books, puzzles, and DVDs. If you need them, take them home. If you have some, drop them off. And people do. They'll come and go. We don't have a checkout system or anything. A lot of our services are, I try to create it as cost effective as possible, if not free. I don't ask you to check out the books, the puzzles, and the DVDs. The loan closet for medical equipment is exactly that. You need it, come and get it. Come go shopping is my big joke. People say, well, do you have this? And I'm like, let's go shopping, and then we'll talk about what the injury or issue is at hand, and then we can help you figure out what things you need or might need soon or later. And so that way we have my staff. I've got Justin is my computer guru, communications associate, and of course, being the guy, he's the one that does a lot of the lifting things up and putting them down, because we change furniture around daily, multiple times. Then Miss Ashley, she's new on board. She just came from the school system, but she was also in home care provider for several years, a foster parent. And she has Steve, our therapy pet. He comes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he's a hoot. Little white, wire-haired, Westie kind of dog. Anyway, and then Sherry, she's the sunshine sparkle girl in the front of the house, and she has a vast amount of experience in life from a huge family that everybody, floral arrangements, catering, food service, all of it. I mean, she is like the diamond in the bunch, truly. And I'm blessed with a fantastic crew. Meals on Wheels site is run out of our facility for the area that delivers food to the homebound folks. And Ann is our site hostess, and she's also a journalist, previously with the Spinal Column that dissolved last year, 2 years ago now. 2 years ago now. It seems like yesterday. But anyway, so Ann's the smart one. She could spell and do all those wonderful things for us, and critiquing and proofreading, and helps with the newsletter. And it is a very, 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 very good team effort. Our volunteer base is only a couple dozen people, but they're fantastic people, and they take the initiative to think of things and bring it to the table and say, what do you think about doing this? And let's try this. And how about we go here or there? I have one gal that comes in my office with her laptop. She goes, I was researching this. And I mean, by the time the woman leaves my office, I'm like, oh, it's a lot of information. And I'm like, well, I have to revisit this, because she's like, has had obviously a lot of time and has done a lot of research and brings me all these wonderful ideas for trips. We just yesterday were at the Highland Bowl Mill in Holland, Michigan, which is associated with Armstrong Millworks here in Highland. The son of the Armstrong family has this bowl mill, and they are sustainable type of company where they use like every scrap piece of wood for something, keychains, utensils. It was a fantastic, they got to go tour the mill in Holland. And then they had a wonderful little lunch in Holland, went and seen the big windmill, did a little drive about in town, and got to walk around little stores. We've been to the capital of Michigan. We've been to Grand Rapids, Ohio on the historical barge trip where it's pulled down the river through the lock system by horses or oxen or whatever team is on working that day, and they have grist mill. Just anything that's different. We're going to Yankee Air Museum. Black Friday, even though we're closed, staff has decided we all want to go on the Polar, I want to say it correctly because it's not the Polar Express as in TV, but North Pole Express out of Owasso. It's a steam engine train ride from Owasso to Ashley. So we are all going to go and drive the folks out to Owasso. We'll have lunch, get on the train, go to Ashley, and that's an evening thing on Black Friday when we're not even working, but we want to go. And that's the funny is that my staff is really excited about stuff, and they enjoy their job because, I mean, how many people are going to come in, even though there is some supplements with the lunch money is provided. We, that's like our volunteer services for helping us with our trips, that we pay the ticket fee and the lunches for those that volunteer to drive for us. But this one's a little pricey, so everybody that goes has to pay their ticket price, but we will still provide, cover their lunches for driving and coming in on their day off. So those kinds of things, it's just museums, pottery, name it, we've probably done it or will be doing it.
What really drives your passion for serving the community?
My passion probably could be based on the fact that I moved around a lot as a young person, as a child. At 41, I had moved once for every year I was alive. So being able to land in a community that is, I call it's Highland is sweet. We have a tagline that it's great outdoors, warm inside. And it just really is the truth. When you've got a community that is active, thriving, we've got 6,000 square or acres of parks, land, lakes for miles everywhere you turn. And it's wonderful. I love it. I just love the fact that this area is not rural podunk, but it's rural and growing and thriving to progress forward, where, you know, the internet, the sidewalks, those types of things that are being improved, the accommodations for the special needs people in the area. Our library is just fantastic. If you haven't been in it, please go, because it is just gorgeous. I mean, it sits on a lake. It's double-story balconied over a lake. It's a beautiful place to go grab a book and hide and read and be in nature as well. There's walking paths with a story path line, and then it's just the community has always been the staple for me, one consistent place that never really changed in my world. We summered here as I was a child. So then I bought my parents' cottage on White Lake. And then I basically have stayed between 3 different areas in Highland. But 2 out of the 3 kept my children at the same bus stop. So it was always a situation. I tried to create that continuity, stability for my family, and Highland area has been a wonderful place to finish growing up and start aging in. And the folks that I've worked with through the years are wonderful people. The community is beautiful. The services in the community are secular and non-secular entities throughout. I've worked with a lot of the churches in the area. We've got some quality folks throughout this whole community. The politicals that I've met in the area. You live across the street from one of our county commissioners. Wonderful man. Was a huge service, but has worked with me diligently for several years to improve the services offered to the seniors at a cost-effective rate, and getting the Lansing aspect brought in with Ageways. And OLSHA is Oakland Livingston County Senior Health Agency, and the services that are provided and the monies, and how do we make all this work, and how do we provide a cost-effective service for those that are temporarily in need or aging and trying to stay in place. If we just move everybody out of Highland, what do we have? Not a lot going on. And for your information, if you don't already know, our population in Highland is basically 60% of our voting population in Highland is over the age of 50. So you gotta be nice to my old folks. So Mr. Hoffman is a fantastic person. Mr. Runstead, the politicals that I've worked with throughout the years in the area have done nothing but be helpful. Mr. Hamill, our township supervisor, works like a dog to do things that will save money for folks. And every day I think, how many people can say that, like, I get emotional about my community, my coworkers, my staff, and it is what it is. I'm very proud of where I'm at and who I do it with. And as you see, I'm getting a little squishy over here. So it's a blessing, as my license plate on my car says. I am blessed to have the environment, to have raised my children in this area and work in this area, and the people I've worked with and the people I work for, which is the community. It is a fantastic environment.
It's so beautiful, the love that you have for this community.
I do.
And I'm curious, do you have an interesting Highland story that you could share with people,
Oh,
or a bit of
goodness
weird
gracious.
Highland history or something?
Oh, I have thousands of goofiness to tell you, but like, well, one of my favorites is people like will talk about the politicals and, politics and their suits and this and that. And the first time that I had come to work when Mr. Hamill, our township supervisor, had just taken office, he drove a smart car. And I'm coming down Milford Road heading to work, and I see the little smart car off to the side of the road at Milford and 59, and we've got the little ticket booth, and it's got a clock tower. And so I notice the car, and then don't see him anywhere, and I look up on the clock tower, and he's in the clock tower fixing the clock. And I thought, wow, I don't know how many suits you're going to see climbing up there and dangling out of a clock face in the middle of the spring. And it was just one of those like, okay, I think I'm going to like this guy. And those are the types of things that we have had all kinds of, like our festivals, that the silly things that happen at them, where we had the canoe run I worked at previously, we developed a program where we could make a pond. And the pond is made up of hay bales, ice skating rink liner, and the wonderful fire department in the area came and filled it up. As the festival was dwindling, somebody bumped into or something, one of the sides blew out. Well, mind you, as a 50 by 50 square of water is cutting loose, we've got 4-H tent over here with fans and critters and cages, and it was like the big oh my, everybody take your shoes and socks off, roll your pant legs up and grab a critter and unplug stuff. And that was, a little bit of a fiasco, but the kids loved it because, of course, there was kids in the pond while it cut loose, and they floated across the field. and the 4-H kids, everything was fine, and we got all the animals out. We didn't even get the hay wet and straw wet in their cages, so it was a great endeavor there. It just, there's so many things that going to fish at Alderman Lake, even though I'm on lakes, I always try to live by or near a lake, or I should say on or near a lake. My kids love to go to Alderman Lake, which is off of Harvey Lake Road, part of Highland Recreation. It's got a floating dock where you can walk out, handicap accessible fishing space. Very quiet lake. It was actually created back in the late 1800s for gristmill purposes and redirecting roads and train. And if you look on the Highland Historical Society website, there's tons of stories about that whole development. But it's a very peaceful place, so that I would take my children there and we'd go fishing before they would go off for summer to go see grandma and grandpa in Florida. And my daughter, she would end up getting distracted and playing with the water snakes. There's just so many things. I mean, Highland stories. I've been around for the ducks at Colasantes blocking the traffic, the turkey flocks. People can't get to work or go to school because there's animals in the road. And my own experience of driving to my daughter to school one day, and traffic stopped and people are honking, and tidbit by tidbit we're moving forward, and all of a sudden I see what the problem is, and there's two little fawns in the middle of the road. Mom's over on the side snorting with the third one. These two little ones are just, of course, scared stiff. And so people are kind of like trying to honk, and all that did is just petrify them further. And I look over, and my husband was sitting in the seat, and I looked at him. I said, "You need to go do something." And he goes, "Well, what?" And I said, "Oh." So I jumped out of my car, and I went over there, and I didn't touch them because she's over there snorting at me. So I just got them to shoo-shoo off the road. and it just so happens one of my patrons was in one of the vehicles on the other side of the street. And so she comes in and she's all gushy about the fact that I saved those little deer, got the traffic moving again. And it was like, I'm like, well, this is what we deal with out here in Highland. We're a little rustic and it's all good. It's a wonderful thing. But I mean, how many people even experience seeing fawns or seeing a flock of turkeys or a bunch of cranes, teetering across the road, and the goofy neat things that they do, and eagles, fantastic. Just osprey, the amount of animal population and wildlife that we have in this area, and the diverse animal population that we have is grown. I've been here all my life, and it just really is heartwarming that we have eagles in the area and osprey. That is so cool.
We are blessed with a beautiful, beautiful place to live.
Yes, yes.
I love watching the baby animals
I'm telling you, nothing's funnier than a sandhill crane baby with its little red brush cut, and when they're tiny, and they're just goofy and sweet as pie.
Those are probably one of my favorite baby animals to see, is the little cranes. So how do you balance all of your responsibilities? You've got a crazy life.
It is. It's kind of, between like the festival situation, we had a committee. Of course, we have fantastic staff for the Highland White Lake Business Association. And in my own specific environment, I have really strong staff with a vast amount of skill sets. And I'll be honest, delegating. Everybody, I am the umbrella over all these people doing fantastic, wonderful things. And it's just, my biggest concern is making sure I keep up with all of their jobs. And I have my own issues to focus on, of course. As a director, you have your budgeting and your advertising campaigns and the creative aspects of how do I make money for the programs, because township funds our operating budget, our salaries, toilet paper, utilities, and those types of things. But we have to create the monies or find the monies for other things. I mean, we've got our community block grants do assist in things like window covers or flooring or major repairs, renovations, and those things. But then there was a time when I first came in, we had purple counters and we had no storage outside, and those types of things that was like, okay, I went to Home Depot and applied for grants. They came in and did great and wonderful things, and we were painted by Chrysler Project back in the day. That's how long I've been around. It was Chrysler that came and painted our facility inside, from that institutional blah white to a beautiful halcyon blue, and it gave it those, like the transformation. People were amazed, but and it gave it a different air. It wasn't institutional boring blah. It gave it more of a activity center place where you would want to hold a party, a birthday party, retirement parties. We do baby showers, and I've even had a couple weddings at the center. So we have aspects that we've got an entire corner dedicated to photo opportunities or presenting the couples, or when we thought of this, the girls wanted to dress this corner so that when people came in for rentals and you've got couples or mama doing the gifts and they're opening presents, there's this beautiful backdrop. And those types of things, that is the logic that we run on. What can we do to make it better for the rest of the world that we serve? We can't fix the world, but we can make our corner a little nicer, prettier, sparkly. I mean, a big thing for us is we don't have a membership fee. We don't have really restrictions. People from Highland have come from Redford, Detroit, Livonia. So of course they have family members that live elsewhere. Well, can I bring my sister, my cousin? They live in Livonia, blah, blah, blah. Of course they can come. I'm not going to say no because they're not a Highland resident. They pay the ticket fee. They can come. You guys go skipping happily along. Our membership in my list as a membership requirement is expect everyone to fill out an emergency contact sheet. Because of my medical background, I need to know your allergies. I need to know what medical issues you have going on. I'm not giving it to anybody or selling. It is completely for the care and health and well-being of our patrons. And those types of things are crucial to me because I don't want to find out somebody is allergic to something after the fact. I don't want to find out that somebody's diabetic as we've gone on a 2-hour tour to Holland, Michigan, and they didn't eat before we left, and now why are they crumped over in the back seat? Those types of things are very scary for everyone around, but for me, I want to be able to take care of my people the best I can. They are my family, they are my friends, they're all I have. My parents are gone now. My family, as everyone else's, is scattered all over God's green earth. So how they are cared for and tended to is a real pet peeve of mine. But ultimately, there is no restrictions, no membership fee. You walk in the door, your family is my mantra, I guess, is the phrase you use these days.
And things are always growing and changing around the center. What are some up-and-coming initiatives that you're excited for, or new programs?
Well, October 8th is our health and wellness fair, and being that it used to be the flu shot clinic, but now you can get, a flu shot at everywhere just short of a gas station. We kind of expanded it to more of that resourcing, hearing aids, visual things, chiropractic information, legal information, health and wellness, essential oils. And the fun part is for the folks that come in to those events, of course, there's freebie giveaway stuff and those things that we do. We will have AARP taxes, free tax preparation in the spring. We start taking appointments for that in January. Right now, we're fine-tuning how Christmas will go, the holidays in general will go. I'm trying to create, we do an elaborate Thanksgiving, an elaborate holiday celebration because, again, families are not around. Folks are not able to celebrate with their family members. So starting October, we do all kinds of quirky things and celebrate Halloween and encourage them to dress up. And we have a party and we have entertainment for the party. Thanksgiving, again, we try to find the sponsorship to bring them a fantastic meal. And even if we don't have the sponsorship, we do figure it out. We end up creating wonderful meals, fantastic decorations. 99.7% of the time there's some form of entertainment, as I spoke of, the marimba player, the bagpipe lady. We've had karaoke. Individual entertainers will come in. We've had 3-piece brass bands. We've had the quartet coming for the end of summer picnic in September. So the church, how about the choir from school comes for Christmas to sing. All the performing kids come and sing for us, and they go around to all the centers. But it's just those kinds of things that we try to make it more than anything they wanted. There's several trips throughout the holiday season. And so if they're not full of the holidays, it's not my fault because we do a quick cookie swap. We do sing-alongs. We have a Crafting with Greens program. Simultaneously on the first Monday of December, the Downtown Development Authority does the big tree lighting. The kids come and sing by the tree. Last year they had a horse-drawn wagon. Santa comes to visit at the Council for Arts building. And we have the Crafting with Greens, partnering with Broadview Tree Farm and Huff Tree Farm here in the area. We bring in as many free items as possible, little, we call them tchotchkes, knickknacks for people to decorate their wreaths, or make a cup for the teacher, or your mailman present, whatever makes you happy. A centerpiece for Christmas dinner. We've had folks that'll bring in sleds, the old school sleds, and dress them and stand them by their doors, or swags for their porch lamps. And we try to have folks help with that, even in the fact of donations. And then we've our bow makers, which they are gold, because I don't know about you, but I cannot tie a decent bow or create one of those beautiful, pretty bows to put on decorations. And it's like, thank God for these women that do it. And they help out and prefab all these bows, so people makes it easy. Folks come in, we'll have the Christmas music on, and they'll play around, and they get to visit and have that end piece of the new version of a senior center. Now you're back to that camaraderie, that fellowship, the sharing and the caring for others, time away from home and your four walls, or whatever, your big house or little house, whatever it be. But it gets people out and gives others the opportunity to share their blessings. I don't know how else to put it. If you're caring and sharing for others, that gives you the opportunity to show blessing to other people that seems to be kind of gone by the wayside. And I think it's important to remember not to be so self-centered, and that there are other people in the world hurting, and not to judge, because we don't know what's going on with other people in the world. So kindness, compassion, patience, all of those fruity things.
And if somebody wanted to get involved and help out, is there a way that they could donate or help out volunteer-wise, maybe even host an event? What?
Well, I mean, hosting events and sponsoring and the assistance of money is always a huge thing, because I would say decorations for the Crafting with Greens, and as people go through time and start sorting through their Christmas decorations, they got those little items. It's like, I don't use those anymore. Bring them up to the center, because then we can share it out. We put banquet tables, like 20 banquet tables for people to work on, and we try to supply them with the hot glue guns and all these little items. And from the tree farms, we cut down they give us the trees, and then we cut up the greens so that they're available. Gift cards, $10 gift cards in increments of $10, because at the Christmas party, it became my thing. I don't know if it's because I moved around and Christmas was always kind of wonky for me as a kid, that I always felt that Christmas is important to try to bring it together. At Christmas, we over-decorate, over-celebrate, but at the party itself, anyone that comes gets to go pick a gift off the Christmas tree. We used to actually collect donations from the community and bag for pink and blue bags for gifts, so everybody could pick something out from under the Christmas tree. But it grew to the point where, and getting the donations of the actual material items to put in bags, and that was huge. But it worked out well for a while. But now we just put gift cards in envelopes in the trees, and everybody gets to come and pick a gift out, and they don't know what they're getting or what gift card it's from. It's usually local restaurants or car washes from the local car wash dealer, oil changes, trip vouchers even for our center that we do, or meal tickets or party tickets from the center to help folks, be able to afford going on the trips a little easier that way, or making sure that there's that opportunity that I've got this meal voucher and I'm having a rough week, and I know where I can go to get a meal. And we have fantastic meals. So every day, Monday through Friday, till like 12, usually more like 1. Our kitchen is open. It's walk-in basis for soup and salad, made to order salads that are phenomenal and very cost effective. So those are the types of things that I have transitioned through time and that other entities help. It's really one of those things that the donations for we have a soldiers wish list program that we do packing every month for troops overseas or homeless vets or the Veterans Hospital, the Desert Angels help coordinate it and then disperse it for us. So every month we have a group come in, volunteers again, come in and we do our packets up. We're assigned the chaplain packets and hygiene packets, but we take everything, all the snacks and the food, socks, clothes, whatever. We have a huge specific list of things that people could donate. We have a huge tote in our entryway that is specific for catching all of the goodies for the soldiers on the John Street side, the entrance on John Street. There's the tote, and the list is out there provided for folks to bring things in and leave it, or the information on coming to help pack or any information about us. We have a Facebook page, and then we are under the Highland Township website, which is highlandtwp.net. We are under the community tab and then Highland Activity Center. And so our newsletter is linked there on both of those social media aspects. We do we were commissioned to join the Oakland Times, which is an online newspaper, since we don't have really any great opportunity to advertise in the area. And a lot of the area businesses are super nice about letting us advertise and put our newsletters out and help us to get the resources out there. Because so many people, when I first started working there, I'm at the north end of the Highland Township office complex. Next to me is the clerk's office and all those types of things. Back then it was clerks and treasurers, and then it went on to building, zoning, in the old building. Now we're pretty much connected. The gist of it is when I first started working there, I would go out on the sidewalk and hand out our newsletters, and they'd go, well, where is it? I've been here for 40 years. Where is it? And it's like, right there. And they just were flabbergasted that they had been there all this time. But you don't know until it's something you need, or you just happen to fall into it. Because with the rental system that we have for parties and baby showers and all those wonderful things and meetings and seminars, it just is one of those things that there's not a lot of those opportunities in this area at a cost-effective level that's in a decent facility. I mean, all the facilities for rent in the area are decent. It's just what vibe you want to be involved with. So it's been a lot of work, but it did work because of my beginning of working marketing with the Highland White Lake Business Association, doing marketing for the canoe rental. The canoe rental also helped with my festival stuff and bringing in the Havner Kids Zone. And the children's area now is just cool, crazy, fun stuff, but it grew immensely over time. But each of those purposes I could carry with me almost everywhere I went, and they all supported that fact that I could discuss these things or have my center newsletter with me as I'm doing my recruitment for the business association. Do you mind if I put this on your table for the waiting area? Oh, of course. Why wouldn't they? Those types of things worked out so nicely that now people are more aware of our existence. people don't know that we're here or available to help until they need us or fall into it. So that's where I am really trying to keep that up. When I first started in 2011, we were at 10, 11,000 a year. We will run now between 6 and 10,000 a month with all the different things that we're doing 24/7, the trips, the rentals, the Meals on Wheels, the books in the bag, all of those things. It's kind of crazy. And it's always one of those days where we say, oh, Tuesdays and Thursdays used to be quiet. Haha, stop saying the Q word. Now it's just less noisy. We don't say the Q word anymore because there really is. It's good though. Our days go fast. You walk in the morning, oh poof, it's 2:00. Oh my. And I really haven't got a lot done, so I'm just gonna like kind of sit here for this last tidbit of the day and catch up if the day doesn't continue on. We had hula hoop exercise yesterday starting at 2:30 in the afternoon. So it's wonderful too because even my cleaning staff has learned to adapt around things like that. God bless those girls. They got 3 whole hours a day to do everything around daytime activities to an evening event. Monday night card players show up at 4:00. We've got the dog trainers at 6. Different the coin clubs like 6:30. A ham radio club. We have a ham radio club still. Our quilters. All those things. So those girls got this much time to clean that whole facility and sanitize everything, make it pretty again for the next round, day after day. And but like when you have a whole group of people that are out on a trip and won't be back between, depends on how much fun they're having. Could be as early as 3, could be as late as 7, or whatever. The hula hoop exercise program, starting at 2:30, runs till 3:30. We have bridge on Friday that runs till closer to 4. We close at 3. So it's just one of those things. The girls come in and start working at whatever end of the building they can work around and do the offices because most of the staff will be gone 3:30, 4:00-ish. And I am so grateful for the people I work with that I love my staff. I do.
And if somebody wanted to get started in volunteering around town or at the center, what would your advice be for them?
Well, depending on what kind of entity skill set they have, because we have the beautification group that does the flowers, like at Veterans Park where the concerts are. You've got the Downtown Development Authority that is primarily in charge of like the 4 corners, they call it, at Milford and Livingston Road for the flower beds there and throughout that area of the downtown area floral spaces, agricultural spaces. So volunteering, even those types of things like the voting aspects, that at the clerk's office you can speak to Tammy Flowers about helping with the voting. We have at the center, we have a lot of things going on. We always need help with parties, the setup, tear down, take down ideas, organization, and the cleaning in the aspect of when you get all these things in and going and coming and going so fast, it's kind of hard to stay organized and neat and clean. We have space for everything, but those spaces sometimes get a little bit out of sorts, we'll say politely. So those are the types of things that we need help, even just to come in. And we have our special needs people. We have visually impaired folks that play bingo, and we have Braille cards and large print cards. And so we have a couple of volunteers that'll walk around and make sure that people aren't missing numbers, so everybody has the opportunity to win. And lately we've had a huge population of people for bingo, is up to like 50 people, 53 people. So it's a quarter a card. It's nothing substantial, but it's a blast. they're a hoot. We've got Mahjong ladies that come in. A lot of them are retired school teachers from the area, or administrative people even from township from days gone by. And so those types of things, to have somebody there to help always have donuts and coffee sitting out. And with the food aspect, there's that running the food. If our Meals on Wheels site hostess that prepares and boxes and organizes for the in-home bound delivery, she also does lunch service. So then she turns her hat around. Now she's soup and salad girl. But to get it out to all these people in this room that have come for bingo, and they are the influx of 50 people that all want to be fed before bingo at noon, or a bridge at noon, or euchre at noon, that's hard. So that's where she can always need the help in the kitchen, or running the food, or just keeping things tidy and clean, because we don't, we like to smell pretty. We don't want it to look crusty or crummy. We dress up the place pretty good all the time, as in decorating for the holidays. Or those are big. I mean, we have 2 sheds full of just decorations. We had 5 Christmas trees up at Christmas. That's no small task to get all those trees put up and dressed, lights hung. We have candy canes that get stuck in the ground outside, 4-foot candy canes. I mean, something as simple as they get beat up, so they need to be painted occasionally every couple of years. There is such a vast amount. Keep the bookshelves not disheveled, and the puzzles, keep them stacked and neatly presenting, so people don't look at it and all just get overwhelmed, because we have 9 bookshelves of stuff. If you walk into it and you think you're in your child's bedroom, and it's like, no. Nobody wants to dig through books. It's just, it's a thing for me, because I feel that if you're going to have all this stuff open display, it needs to be kept neat and clean and in order to some degree. We have large print book section, even that, as the library has their little sales or their big sales, they end up casting us good stuff like that. A lot of nice hard covered books that are large print, a diverse selection of books, a lot of good stuff, like things for men. We have a good amount of men that come to the center. So that's where we may go to Tea House one trip, but then we're going to go to Cabela's, or we're doing Yankee Air Museum, where yesterday was the bowl milling thing. That was kind of, I call them Jack and Jill, where both will go. Cabela's usually will include Dundee, Michigan. So then the girls can go foo-foo shopping in the grist mill, and everybody goes to grist mill. Cabela's is, the women find, wow, this is a lot neater than I thought, because they never took the time to go, because whatever reason, or, it is a drive. Going to Detroit, Detroit Institute of Arts. We do that every couple months. That's a free trip. Detroit Institute of Arts brings a big bus out, picks them up just before noon, takes them down to the Art Institute, and they can mill about a couple hours, and they're brought back on the big bus. We went and seen a Motown concert a couple of weeks ago at the Detroit Institute of Arts for free. It was a fantastic day. So ultimately, there's just so many people involved in it, and that's where people, when they say, Heidi, you're doing such a great job, I'm like, oh no, this isn't me. This is a group effort, in large part, solely a group effort, because there's no way I could do it alone. No way. I'm not that energetic or intelligent to handle all of this stuff, because you think about the computer aspect. I'm 59 years old. I can't keep up with all the phone gadgetry and those types of things and help everybody, and the creating all the vast ideas of the crafts and the trips and making contact. We're taking 26 to 36 people to wherever for a trip, you also have to feed them. So try to find a place that can accommodate 36 people around wherever you're going or in between where you're going. It's not easy. And thank God for LaFontaine because they're sweet as pie and do help us out with transportation. So
It really does take a village.
it does. They're perfect. Yes, it does.
And do you have a particular message or mantra that you want to leave everybody with?
Oh my. That's not fair, John. You could have gave me a little heads up on that. No, I just want people to know they're welcome. And like I said before, they come in the door, they're family. We really try to create a safe, positive environment for folks. Being haters or judgers is not allowed, and it's a joke because they say, you know, oh, you're going to get called in the principal's office because there's been years ago, but I mean, there's some folks that may have a bad day, but doesn't mean they need to beat up others for it. And I don't have a lot of that in my center. I've got a very good population of people. They jest with each other, they laugh, they cry, they are a hoot. And so I just want people to know we are here. If they need us, call. If they aren't sure if they need us, call, come in and come see, talk to us. Because as I said, each of my staff and myself all have a unique set of skills, but then we're all sharing that also with each other, except for I don't want to learn all the computer stuff. But anyway, so yes, I mean, there's a vast amount of intelligence in that building and resources in that building that it overwhelms me even some days. And all we can do is say we're here to help, but people got to come in or call. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, thank you again for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate all the work you're doing at the Activities Center.
Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Huron Valley Now podcast. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
This episode was sponsored by the Chiro Tribe Chiropractic.
When you're ready to embrace a healthier perspective tailored to your needs, discover a world of wellness with the Chiro Tribe.
Everybody say, bring not bone alone. Come on, bring not bone alone.
At the Chiro Tribe, we specialize in easing daily pains and discomforts at our House of Wellness, where we focus on what truly works for you.
Everybody say, bring not bone, hey, bring not bone alone. Everybody say, bring not bone alone. Yeah.
Experience the difference at Chiro Tribe Chiropractic and Wellness in Highland. Call or text at 248-800-6214